Is your mind feeling too busy? Is your body feeling too tight? Well, then you are in exactly the right place. In the next 20 minutes, we are going to slow down, giving your body and your mind permission to relax and let go. All you need is your bolster, and we are going to start lying on your back for a restorative yoga pose. So to begin, have your bolster behind you vertical. We're going to lie back over it, letting the bolster come a little bit above the bottom tips of our shoulder blades, above the bottom ribs. So you want your tops of your shoulders, your head supported in the bolster, your legs stretch out long, your arms can rest on your ribs, by your side. Start to check in with your breath. Check in with your body. Notice how it is with you right now. So this opening pose is restorative, meaning we're allowing our body to relax into the props with very little stretch to begin. You might feel a gentle opening, a widening across your collarbones, allowing you to send more breath into that area. Letting the breath rise your entire front of your torso, from the lower abdomen to the tips of your lungs. You might place your hands somewhere over your abdomen, your lower ribs, feeling the breath move in and out of your body. We'll be here another minute or so as we start to prepare for the rest of this practice. Starting with this chance for our body to mindfully arrive in our space, to release whatever was going on before you arrived here. And then we'll move into some yin yoga stretches, gently opening the body with passive stretch and returning to a restorative relaxation at the end. Take your last few breaths here. Begin to help yourself up with your hands. And then you can turn around to face the bolster. Okay, so for this next pose, the bolster is still vertical. I'm bringing it close to me for a half frog pose. So I'm going to have the bolster from somewhere about the tops of my thighs to the tops of my chest. You might rearrange depending on how this feels. And if your own bolster is too thick, you are welcome to stack a few blankets instead. So we'll start with the arms in a Sphinx pose shape. They can be out long, together, bent. And then you can take the leg closest to me and begin to slide the knee up so it comes out to the side. This is our half frog. Maybe it's about parallel to your hip. Maybe it's lower. Foot can be closer to your body or further away. So this is our half frog with a Sphinx pose. Just checking my timer. We'll be holding for about 2 minutes per side. Now you can tuck the extended leg away more. These yin poses are going to help us open up around our entire hip area. That's going to help us relieve any low back discomfort. You can stay here propped up onto your elbows in Sphinx, or you can take it into a yin seal pose By placing your hands out in front of you, perhaps turning them out a little bit, you can decide how close or how far away to have your hands depending on how far up you want to go. Now remember, you can stay down the whole time. I like this version because in addition to the abduction in my leg that is bent, I'm also feeling some release in the front of the extended leg hip, that hip flexor area that tends to get so tight from being seated a lot of our days. With yin poses, we arrange our body in a way that we find some stretch, not our maximal stretch, our just right Goldilocks amount, maybe around 50 to 60%. And then it's staying in the pose for time that really allows the stretch to happen. All right, we'll have about 3 more breaths in on this first side. And lower yourself if you were up in seal pose, coming back down to a Sphinx or some version of a prop pose. Take the bent knee in. Take just a moment in center to notice from side to side. Notice how your body is feeling, being aware of left to right. And then we'll take the second leg knee out to the side. Of course, you might not be able to see as well on this side. The edge of the bolster is also supporting my leg out to the side a bit. I'll start low here for a few breaths. Finding the Sphinx pose. Allowing my body to enjoy this passive release. Finding the balance between effort and ease. And then remember, if you would like to prop yourself into a seal pose, you decide how much you want your hands to come closer to your body or stay further away. I like to tuck the back toes for a moment, push the heel or the sole of that foot away so I can extend the back leg long. Gaze can be forward or chin can come more to your chest. Yin is known as a quiet practice. We look for that quiet stillness in our bodies, and we hope that the mind will follow, that the mind will begin to settle. Kind of like if you shake up a snow globe and then all the material settles to the bottom. If you find your attention is getting drawn away, and that's likely to happen, that's a normal part of the process. You might return to the sense of your breath moving in and out. You might return your attention to particular sensations, as simple as the feeling of your hands on the floor or the mat, your bolster having gentle pressure into your body. All right, let's take a breath or 2 more here. And then we'll release the same way, lower first. Draw the leg back in. Hold for a moment. In yin, this brief hold is sometimes called a rebound or the echo of the pose, where you get a chance to notice how your body is experiencing the pose. And then use your hands again to start to help yourself up. And this time we'll turn to face in the other direction. All right, so now our bolster is behind us again. It's still in the vertical position. We're going to be lying over the bolster for an extended bridge pose. So we're going to start seated near the bottom edge of the bolster. You might have to slide the bolster a little bit more down your mat. Let yourself sit on the bolster, start to lay back over it. Now this time you want your lower ribs to be right at the top of the bolster so that your head and your shoulders can be off the bolster. Your legs start to open out. They don't have to be all the way straight. Got my clock here. I'm going to do my little time check. So we're holding all of these yin poses for about 2 minutes or so. You might take a few sighs out as you settle into the pose. Now here, just like we did in our first restorative pose, we're cultivating an openness in the upper chest, except now we are inviting in a more intense stretch there. And then we're opening up this crucial area of the hip flexors, the front of our hips. That's a place where, again, our hips tend to get really tight. When that area is tight, when our psoas is tight, those areas can be responsible for some low back pain issues. Breathe in and out here. If you struggle to stay focused on your breath, you might simply name your breath in your head, saying to yourself, in, out, as you breathe in and out through your nose. Notice the gentle external rotation of your upper arms as your shoulder blades are gently releasing toward the floor with gravity. The bolster support is encouraging space in the front, upper chest, an area that also gets tight from activities like being on our phones or computers, driving. Let's find our last 2 or 3 breaths here. And this time to transition, you'll walk your feet in slowly first. And then you can either roll off your bolster or you can use your hands to help yourself come back up to seated. All right, so now we're moving our bolster to a horizontal position, and then we're going to be lying on our back with our hips supported on the bolster. So I'm going to do this by taking my feet over the bolster, and then I'll simply scooch down, letting my hips rest on the bolster, leaning onto my arms, and helping myself back. Make sure you're comfortable. If this feels like too much of a stretch in your back, you might have to scooch the bolster so it's a little further below your waistband. So this is a more traditional supported bridge. We often do this with a block. Here we're using the bolster. We'll start here, and then we'll bring one knee at a time in toward the body. Holding here for a moment, again, making sure that the placement of the bolster feels comfortable. And then you can allow your right foot to come down. Place the left ankle in a figure 4 position. Now you can stay here with your grounded figure 4, or once again, draw the feet in this shape toward your body. And I like to, when I'm doing this version, rather than hold my bottom foot up, just let my bottom leg dangle. Remember that in yin, it's gravity that is doing the effort for us, gravity and time, not the work of holding or anything like that. So I'll simply rest my hands here on the bolster, or you can have them down by your side, as we stay here for about 2 minutes. Allow your breath to be soft, to be comfortable. We are still working around the entire hip girdle. Now we're getting some external rotation in the hip joint. And then we're also getting some work in the bottom leg. We want this to be our just right effort. All right, let's find about 3 more breaths. And then we'll take the bottom foot down to the ground. Allow both feet to rest on the floor for a moment. And pause here before we go to side 2. When you're ready, take the second leg over the bottom foot, the bottom thigh, into that figure 4 shape. So the action here is in this external rotation of the hip joint. The knee is moving away. You might feel like this is just right amount of sensation for you today. If that's true, you stay right where you are. If you feel like you need something different and you want to allow the bolster to help, draw the legs in toward your chest. For me, that moves the sensation more from just in my hip joint down the side of my thigh a little bit, the outer glutes. So we look for whether a sensation is desired in yin, whether that is the amount of stretch that you want in that area. Of course, we never want anything painful, anything sharp, anything stinging. That's our cue to change the movement, change the position. We keep breathing. We bring ourselves back to the breath, back to the feeling of the support under our body. This is actually our last yin pose, and then we're going to finish with another rest pose, a restorative pose. Time check. Find your last breath or 2 here. Then place your feet back on the floor. We'll finish with a bolster supported Shavasana. Now I'm just going to use my hands and slide my bolster down. I like my bolster a little higher up on my thighs in Shavasana. I like to have it rest there. You might like to slide the bolster more under your knees. And again, if your bolster is too thick, you could always use a rolled blanket instead. Let's again start tuning into the body, into the breath. We've finished our yin portion of the class where we were stretching. Now we are back to just releasing and letting go. You may notice your body still wanting to hold on. Give yourself permission to release into gravity here. Your mat is holding you. Your bolster is holding you. The earth is holding you. And let's do a final check, noticing if there's any tension still holding on. Let's draw our attention to our face, the spot between the eyebrows, to the jaw, to the cheeks. Allow all of those spots to soften just a bit more. As you breathe in, remind yourself, I am. And as you exhale, here. Twice more. I am. Here. I am. Here. If you're comfortable, you are welcome to remain here as long as you would like. If you're ending your practice here, I hope that this was useful to you. I would love for you to comment and tell me what was your favorite part of the practice. I wish you a peaceful rest of your day.